We're going to have some fun today with the music. At the stroke of midnight on that great big holiday, we're gonna have a ball, and that ain't all. I'm gonna chase my blues away. I'll be bringing in a brand new year, bringing in a brand new year. So listen, dear, won't you meet me here? 'Cause I'll be bringing in a brand new year. Gonna be a great big parade. Well, I got my resolutions made. Gonna ride above the stars. We might even take a trip to Mars, 'cause we're bringing in a brand new year. Yeah, I'm bringing in a brand new year. Gonna make a sigh, wink an eye, and bringing in a brand new year. Let me hear you clap. Sailing down on a rainbow, I'll flirt with Lady Moon. If she sighs or winks her eyes, no, I won't be back till June. Well, I'm bringing in a brand new year, bringing in a brand new year. Well, listen, dear, won't you meet me here? 'Cause I'm bringing in a brand new year. Bringing in a brand new year. Well, I'm bringing in a brand new year. So listen, dear, won't you meet me here? 'Cause I'm bringing in a brand new year. Yeah, I'm bringing in a brand new year. Listen, dear, I'm bringing in a brand new year. Thank you.
Well, we're going to have a lot of music, a lot of great music. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the very last service of this year, 2023. Wow. Oh. Welcome newcomers, members, and friends to our worship service at Central Unitarian Church. My name's Susan Gempler, and my husband Stuart and I live in Rutherford, and we're both choir members and serve on the Leadership Development Committee and also the Spring Fling Committee. CUC is an inclusive community of all ages, which embraces diversity in identity, expression, and spiritual beliefs. Many of our members and friends find inspiration, hope, and renewal with us. We hope that you find something meaningful about our services today. If you are visiting us in person, please be sure to say hello to one of our welcome hosts, Bill and Carol Hoffman, I believe. And if you're visiting us online this morning, we invite you to sign the guest book by providing us with your name and your contact information. The link for the guest book has been provided in the chat at the bottom of your screen. We're helpful and grateful for all those helping to make the service happen, including our guest musician, Efrat Shapiro, who's leading our music today, Phil Szynski, who is overseeing the sound and the live transmission, and he puts in a lot of hours. We don't know how lucky we are to have him, and also John Freund. Special welcome to our guest service leader, Lily Carayannis. I'm going to bring this down. Who is a graduate of the Union Theological Seminary and is the Deputy Chief of Special Operations within New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board. This is the city agency that is tasked with investigating police misconduct. She was a member of the Board of the Trustees for Unitarian Universalist Faith Action of New Jersey. Also, I drafted my husband, Stuart Couch, to play the hymns for us. We invite you to stay after service for coffee, conversation, and connection. And I have to ask, who's responsible for all that food back there? Elizabeth and Lois. We have a feast today. Thank you very much. Now, in preparation for our service, this morning we ask you in person and really those of you online to silence your electronic devices. And for those of you online, we encourage you to have your own chalice ready to light as we light our own chalice here in our worship space.
Okay. Masks and earrings. There we go. Let's see. Our centering words today are from the Tao Te Ching, which is an ancient Chinese book of wisdom that underlies much of modern Chinese religious and secular life. Now, I have cobbled together this translation from a few sources, but the primary source is Ursula K. Le Guin. And of this chapter, Le Guin writes, "Moderation in all things isn't just a bit of safe, practical advice. To lose the sense of the sacredness of the world is a mortal loss. To injure our world by excesses of greed and ingenuity is to endanger our own sacredness." So from the Tao, chapter 29. Those who think to win the world by doing something to it, I see them come to grief. For the world is a sacred object. Nothing is to be done to it. To do anything to it is to damage it. To seize is to lose it. So sometimes things are ahead, and sometimes they are behind. Sometimes breathing is hard, sometimes it comes easily. Sometimes there is strength and sometimes weakness. Sometimes one is up and sometimes down. Therefore, the sage avoids extremes, excesses, and complacency. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit for our first hymn. It's number 350, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time.
I forgot I have an announcement. I'm so sorry, we're out of order. There is no family faith formation programming this morning. Classes will resume next week, Sunday, January 7th. And this is something important. The CUC Youth Group needs your support, and they're planning their educational trip to Prague where they will spend an entire week this spring with the Prague University Unitarian congregation. They have an ambitious goal to raise $13,000 by January 11th to fully fund the trip. So we're only about, I think, around 20%, a little over, reaching the goal so far, anyway, of the fundraiser online. This money will help fund the price of the travel, food, and lodging for 7 youth group members and 2 chaperones. So to contribute, please see the link on the online campaign, and it's been sent via email. Now it's time to light our chalice, and I ask you to all say the chalice lighting words with me. We light this chalice to remind us of our dreams, to nourish our hearts, mind, and spirit, to work towards a better world for all, to embrace the whole of our human experience, to honor our past and present, to create a community where each of us may find healing, transformation, and hope. We are able here at CUC to fulfill our mission through the generous contributions of our members and our friends. Your financial gifts help us to maintain our operating budget, which includes paying for our staff and our programming. If you're capable of making a financial contributions today, your gift will help ensure that CUC continues to be a vital part of our lives here and in the entire community. Our offering will now be gratefully received.
I decided since it's New Year's, we're just going to have a lot of fun today. The next New Year's song I'm going to sing is in Hebrew, though. But again, it's a New Year's song. That's what matters. So here we go. I hope you'll enjoy it. It's called Bashana Haba'a, which means in the new year. בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. Feel free to get up and dance, it's New Year's. וילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Which means, oh, you'll see, yes, you'll see just how good it will be in the year that is here. ענובים אדומים יבשילו עד הערב וייגשו צוננים לשולחן. ורוחות רדומים ייסעו עליהם הדרך עיתונים ישנים בענן. Oh, בשנה, עוד תראה, בשנה הבאה. Oh, you'll see, yes, you'll see just how good it will be in the year that is here. בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. Which means, oh, you'll see, yes, you'll see just how good it will be in the year that is here. ענובים אדומים יבשילו עד הערב ויגשו צוננים לשולפן ורוחות אדומים ייסעו עליהם הדרך עיתונים ישנים בענן עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה which means yes you'll see just how good it will be in the year that is here.
Please say together our dedication words. We dedicate these gifts in service of our mission to welcome all into a home of spiritual diversity that challenges us to become our best selves, to minister to one another in love, and to serve the greater community. Now we enter into a time of meditation, taking a moment to share our joys and our sorrows. We do this each week as a way of caring for each other. And we will not include this segment in our service recording. This will allow us to share our joys and our sorrows within the space of those gathered here without publicly sharing them on the internet and the rest of the recorded service. Blessed be. Now let us sing together hymn number 46, Now the Day is Over. Only 3 verses. Now the day's over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Now the leafless landscape settles in repose, waiting for the quiet of the winter snows. As twilight gathers, let us pause and hear the slowing call speaks of the waning year. I have a reading today that is entitled Time by Louise Gluck. Well, I can't read it with, it's in between, I'm sorry. There was too much, always, then too little. Childhood, sickness. By the side of the bed, I had a little bell. At the other end of the bell, my mother. Sickness, gray rain. The dogs slept through it. They slept on the bed, at the end of it. And it seemed to me they understood about childhood. Best to remain unconscious. The rain made gray slats on the windows. I sat with my book, the little bell beside me, without seeing any sign of the spirit. I determined to live in the spirit. The rain faded in and out, month after month. In the space of a day, things became dreams, dreams. became things. Then I was well. The bell went back to the cupboard. The rain ended. The dog stood at the door, panting to go outside. I was well. Then I was an adult. And time went on. It was like rain, so much, as though it was a weight that couldn't be moved. I was a child, half sleeping. I was sick. I was protected. And I lived in the world of the spirit, the world of the gray rain, the lost, and the remembered. Then suddenly, the sun was shining, and time went on, even when there was almost none left. And the perceived became the remembered, the perceived. Here ends our reading.
The next one. I have to play my violin into the mic. I forget that because there are people listening outside this room. The next one is a little more known. You may know it, you may not. It's been sung by Ella Fitzgerald and quite a few others. Let me ask you, what are you doing New Year's Eve? Maybe it's much too early in the game, but I thought I'd ask you just the same. What are you doing New Year's Eve? Wonder whose arms will hold you good and tight when it's exactly 12 o'clock that night. Tonight, what are you doing welcoming in New Year's Eve? Maybe I'm crazy to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose out of the 1,000 invitations you'd receive. But in case I stand a little chance, here comes the jackpot question in advance. Babe, what are you doing? What are you doing New Year's Eve? Maybe I'm crazy, thank you, to suppose I'd ever be the one you chose out of the 1,000 invitations you'd receive. comes that jackpot question in advance. What are you doing New Year's? New Year's Thank you. What are you doing New Year's Eve?
Let's see. Cool. The first New Year's Eve that I have a memory of was the turn of the millennium. As a child, the days between Thanksgiving and Christmas seemed interminable. We excitedly waited for Christmas morning, and everywhere we looked reminded us that the countdown was on. Christmas Eve was almost always the longest night of the year. It was when the adults came over, and they talked, and they talked, and they talked, and it just seemed like we would never get to the other side. New Year's had no such hype for us. We went to bed, and then the next day came, and it was just the next day, and so on and so forth. Unlike Easter or Christmas, the New Year's was a celebration without being tethered to an event, a changing of the clocks, a turning of the numbers of the calendar, and nothing more. That said, it's hard not to be seduced by the big ones, the millennia. We organize so much of our historical consciousness around those big round numbers. We fold lives and entire generations into phrases like the 1600s or the 1960s. The millennia. The last time we had observed a millennia, the world's population only had 351 million people. The Roman Catholics and the Eastern Orthodoxy had not yet split into different religions, and Babylon was still a city. And we had our own fair share of historical events on the horizon that year, but probably the most germane to the turning of the year was the, quote, Y2K crisis. Now, for those of us who have blessedly forgotten the 90s, the Y2K crisis was caused by a short-sighted computer programmer's attempt to save storage space by reducing all year dates to 2 digits. In our world of mega data storage, it's really hard for us to remember the time where every byte was cherished. And it's unclear if the programmers did not think of a turn of a century or millennia, if they did not believe that their code would last that long, or if they did not foresee the ubiquity of computers in modern life. There were catastrophic predictions speculated about by the media, and people had hoarded food and water, and because this is America, and when we get scared, we get armed, they hoarded guns. And even when the experts and the government were trying to assure us that all would be well, that we had this well in hand, there was still that sliver of a doubt that made the changing of the clocks that day an event with a capital E, a happening that otherwise would have just been a fun number. Now, I spent that New Year's Eve with my grandmother, who was 70 years old at the time and had lived through World War II in Greece, through starvation and childhood illness. And she went to bed promptly at 8:30 p.m. and told me not to stay up until the ball dropped in New York because we had to go cross-country skiing in the morning. And I was like, Grandma, this could be the moment all the computers fail the world. And my grandmother, who was so paranoid she would unplug her computer from the electrical outlet to keep the hackers out, could care less about the apocalyptic predictions. As so many people who have lived through catastrophic trauma, she had no interest in reliving that until it actually happened. And so now we all know the story. The clocks changed, nothing happened, nothing really momentous. There was some humorous small interruptions, like the breathalyzers in Hong Kong failed that night. Or the Naval Observatory's website, which is the legal time in America, briefly stated that the year was 19100. So my grandma was partly right in this, as she was in so many things. And whenever the New Year's come, I think of that night, and all the more so because after the event was done and we could all laugh about it, now former President Bill Clinton called Y2K the first challenge of the 21st century successfully met. And it was pretty true. It was a significant event. The US alone spent $200 billion on it. An entire sector of the economy was transformed to deal with it. And international cooperation actually tackled a huge, complicated threat. Other than perhaps the push to remove CFCs from industry and hairspray and all that stuff to keep our ozone layer from depleting, it's really hard to see a global cooperation actually overcoming potential world-ending problems. And I know we all want it to give us hope for the future of climate change. The New Year's used to be my least favorite holiday, and it is rapidly rising up the ranks. In fact, I told my spouse the other day that my favorite holiday, after my birthday and Halloween, of course, had to be New Year's Eve. No, I don't love New Year's Eve for the big parties or the Times Square celebration or any of that, but I love it because it is a holiday that just loves on the passage of time at all. What could be more sacred than taking time to reflect on the passage of time? So I want us to take some time today to reflect on some different temporalities. Some of these temporalities will be painful, some hopeful, but all of them belong to a tapestry of time on our blessed planet. I'm sure that you've all heard it said that we are just the dash, right? That time between our birth date and our death date. But I think that assumes too much. For we are born into a tapestry of temporalities, creatures with faster and slower metabolisms, and we encounter others. Our temporalities entangle with one another. Our lives are more than just a dash, they are a web of entanglement with different lives who see time differently. And so the first story I want to tell us is about a tree. And it's a story of a man who is studying trees in Nevada. They're known as the bristlecone pines, and part of his research involved drilling into the side of trees to get a core sample out of them without hurting the tree, or so the theory went. And one day, the man was drilling into a particularly beautiful little tree when his drill tip got lost in the middle of it. He was devastated because those drill bits were expensive and they were rare, and this could set his research back by years as he waited for a replacement, resecured funding, and found the time to come back. So he told his woes to a local forest ranger who, in a very neighborly fashion, offered to assist him. They could simply cut down the tree, remove the drill bit, be good. He was in desperate straits, and he reluctantly agreed. And so the tree was cut down, and he retrieved his tool. And then he figured, well, this is the perfect opportunity to make observations of the tree rings. So I'm guessing all of us remember this grade school exercise of reading the tree rings and counting each of the years. And that's basically what he did. These tree rings were very small, so he had to use a microscope as he counted. And he began counting, and after the first day, he had to mark his progress because it's how long it took him to count. Not even a quarter into counting, the rings that he was on represented the tree's existence when Europeans did not even know of the existence of the Americas. The next day, not even halfway through, he finished up, and the tree was older than the Ottoman Empire. The next day, and the tree was older than Jesus. The next day, the tree was older than the Parthenon, older than the Tao, older than the Hebrew Bible. By the time he finished, he estimated the tree to be 4,500 years old. Now, no one knew how old these trees were because we typically associated age of trees with size. And these bristlecone pines, they only grow to be about 20 feet tall. So it was assumed that they were not nearly as old as, let's say, redwoods. But I imagine that moment standing there in front of the oldest known organism on Earth, having just cut it down. Just the devastation, the awe, the pure horror. Now, the man who did this never studied trees again. He changed fields and he went into studying salt flats, which are big, treeless plains. And he never gave an interview about it. The temporality of a tree to exist 4,500 years is simply unimaginable. To me, it's different than rocks or ocean or sand. This singular individual was respirating, it was nourishing, hosting birds and insects and people and snow and fungus and lichens and ant and bacteria. And the only way that we have to really understand this temporality is to relate it to the entire known history of humanity. But I also think of this one experience, this encounter between the 4,500-year-old tree and this 30-year-old man, devastating though it was an event. It was a happening, an encounter between two temporalities that radically changed each other, ending the life of one and turning the other on a radical new course. And I ask, do you have moments in your life where you encounter an entangled temporality? Think of a fruit fly who only lives for 24 days and perhaps only knows the inside of your house for that short period. Or perhaps we can think of the dog whose years we measure out in dog years to better understand its experience. We cannot think of temporalities of creatures on Earth without thinking of what I'll call disrupted temporalities, of the many temporalities that were cut short or cut off because of our activities. We're living in a time of extinction, which means we are also living in a time of haunted landscapes. Extinction temporalities exist all around us. And now, what do I mean by an extinction temporality? Well, extinction is not a singular event for a species. It is not that moment that the last living member of that species breathes its last breath. Extinction events include many moments. It starts when those creatures, once so abundant, begin to struggle to find each other. It starts when the song of the bird goes unanswered by another of its kind, stretching its communal encounters to just a few chance encounters, a few happenings of what would have been a year of happenings. So by the time the last of its species calls out to the void, there are hundreds of little apocalypses for countless others of its kind. By the time of that last call, the landscape is already haunted with its departure because we know that all of our environs are deeply interconnected. We know that certain species only grow up alongside and inside of another species. And so when one species departs from that web, the opening that that departure leaves is a hole in the tapestry of the environmental web that existed alongside it. Haunted landscapes which surround all of us in this age of extinction, haunted landscapes change their temporalities. In the holes left behind may emerge an accelerated growth of some species that was newly introduced, its growth rapidly outpacing the beings around it like weeds growing in an empty parking lot. And it is widely recognized that these haunted landscapes, these extinction temporalities, are due this time in large part to human activity in general and human-animal agriculture in particular. Recognizing extinction temporalities is not an imperative only for the sense of like stewardship or empathy toward other creatures, but because the interconnected web of all existence means that their hauntings are our hauntings, that we are actively making the world a lonelier place for ourselves and for posterity. And continuing on this path, we may have to start coming to terms with what extinction temporalities mean to humans much more personally. Our time on Earth is ultimately a mystery to us. How long in the indefinite future will humans inhabit this planet? That is a sacred mystery, the mystery that keeps propelling us into the future. Our time is not infinite, but it is indefinite for now. With many of our modern actions, this indefiniteness is beginning to start looking a lot more definite. Extinction events happen on Earth, but the creatures that go extinct leave this temporality behind. The Earth, the universe, it has all the time in the world to heal from these events. Whether these events are caused by cyanobacteria, human pollution, asteroids, the truth of life on Earth for humans is that our extinction event, the event that may consume us sooner or later, is just one among many events in the history of the Earth. The temporalities that surround us will be the future in new configurations, and those temporal configurations are no less sacred than we are. Now, New Year's Eve, the celebration of time itself, should be a day to call us to what connects us to time in our lives, time with other creatures, time with our species. Looking at different temporalities, recognizing the limit of our own temporality and of our species' limited run in temporality, what could be more sacred? What is love if not holding close the temporality of others? Caring to extend our temporality together, holding that temporality when it ends. I want to end with reflecting on Ursula K. Le Guin's words that we heard in the opening. Le Guin says that moderation in all things isn't just a bit of safe, practical advice. To lose the sense of the sacredness of the world is a mortal loss. To injure our world by excesses of greed and ingenuity is to endanger our own sacredness. The earth, the universe, this will all survive us. Injured, perhaps, but no less sacred, no less mysterious. The notion that we are the dash between our years of birth and death is missing that important element, that we are not just our own temporality, but we are born into a rich world with variegated temporalities, flowing and interacting with one another. And when our temporalities connect, when we truly encounter one another, well, that is a happening. May we not only reflect on our own time and its interaction with the multi-species world that surrounds us, but may we also find happenings on this glorious and sacred day of time. May it be so, and amen. Now let us sing. I'm going to ask to rise in body or spirit for the hymn 309, The Earth is Our Homeland. And it's new to me. I'm guessing it's probably new to you all. So would you play it through once so we can get a hint as to what we're going to do?
Please say together our chalice lighting words. We extinguish this chalice flame, but not our promise to each other, to act with grace, to hold each other in love, to serve this community and our world. This promise of the heart serves as a reminder of how we live together. May it bring joy to our collective lives.
Thank you. Our closing words today are adapted from Theodore Parker, the Unitarian Universalist minister. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space, its shrine, the good heart, its creed, all truth, its ritual, works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Thank you.
So as you see, I'm going to sing Auld Lang Syne. I hope you'll sing with me. But I may have decided to add, after talking to Lily and Susan, something a little fun right after. Something you can go ahead and get up to, or dance to, or sing along to. So just letting you know that that's what we're going to do now. Are you guys ready? All right. Here we go. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, yet for old lang syne. Yet for old lang syne, for old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang. All right, now this might just be something from the disco time. You guys have heard of that group? Has a pentagram for a name. Is that what it's called when it's backwards and forwards? ABBA? ABBA? You guys know ABBA, right? No more champagne, and the fireworks are through. Here we are, me and you, feeling lost and feeling blue. It's the end of a party, and the morning seems so gray, so unlike yesterday. Now it's time for us to say, you know this part. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. May we all have a vision now and then of a world where every neighbor is a friend. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. May we all try. If we don't, we might as well lay down and die. You and I. Sometimes I see how the brave new world arrives, and I see how it thrives in the ashes of our lives. Oh yes, man is a fool, and he thinks he'll be okay, dragging on feet of clay, never knowing he's astray, keeps on going anyway. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, may we all have a vision now and then of a world where every neighbor is a friend. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, may we all of our hopes are to try. If we don't, we might as well lay down and die. You and I. Seems to me now that the dreams we had before, they're all dead, nothing more than confetti on the floor. It's the end of a decade, in another 10 years' time, who can say what we'll find, what lies waiting down the line in the end of 89 or now 29, who knows? Here we go. Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's, may we all have a vision now and then of a world where every neighbor is a friend. Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's, may we all have our hopes, our will to try. If we don't, we might as well lay down and die. You and I. Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's.
Let's have a rounding
Happy New
sound of
Year's.
applause.
Thank you.
And for our guest speaker, wonderful words. Thank you.